Well. Looky here. Dave is dropping another podcast. That's right. Welcome to another episode of Staying Super with SimplySuperDave. Coming to you from the great state of Louisiana here in these crazy United States on this crazy planet spinning out of control in this crazy universe that we call life. How are you doing today? It is Friday. It is a Friday. That might be the reason. I have a good vibe in me right now, and I think it's because it's Friday. Something good about that day, right? Just like Mondays dread me. Don't get me wrong, Simply Super Dave works 7 days a week, but on the weekends I have scaled it back a little bit because I do need a majority of the day. I might lose my mornings those days, but I get at least most of the day and the evening. I try to really enjoy my life and not stress it out so much on my own. And a lot of that comes from peer pressure because of other people's lives. And you know, those successful people, maybe you, that makes you feel like, well, gee, I'm just not doing enough. And then it hit me. There is 8 billion people on this planet, going on to 9. And yeah, I don't feel like there's many jobs left to be done, so I'm going to be one of the ones that just sits back and enjoys the show. And that's how I have treated life, and that's a lot about where my perspectives come from, because I try to take myself out of it, even though I am still biased when it comes to, because I'm limited from my own perspective. No matter how bended I make it, sometimes I can only bend it so far as other people can see a perspective completely on the other side. And so when I hear people like that talk to me, I really listen, because I'm just utterly fascinated why they believe as differently as they might do. And are they right, you know, or is that a better way? Not suppose right from wrong, as opposed from that's pretty good to better. I think that's the narrative that needs to be really pushed out there here lately. A lot of people just hear a response or something somebody says or something that's out there, and it's automatically a black or white issue of right or wrong. And like this, and I find that to be very fascinating, that we're so judgmental on ourselves so very much, to the point where we limit our own selves so very, very much. I can tell you that what I post on Facebook and my social media period nowadays is a consistent reposting, resharing, whatever, of other memes I come across or things I come across, because either I agree with them, they made me laugh, or it's something that whatever, you know, it's got to be something I'm associated. Maybe it's something I'm against, and then I might write something. But other than that, like what I was posting 12 years ago, I was posting real thoughts that I was having, how my day was going, and just like a basic journal. And but that's because of the evolution of the internet, from whence it rose from the ground itself, I guess, by Bill Gates and whatever that guy is. Man, I can't remember his name. He's not alive anymore. Ran Apple for a long time. Wow. I can see his face. I can see everything, and the name pops in. It's like one of those videos, and then they have like a subliminal bleep in it, like Fight Club, where you just see something for a split second, like I see his name, and then it goes away. And it's very easy name. But anyway, the internet is that thing. When you look throughout the entire history of mankind, okay, the internet is the thing that no one saw coming. Or maybe they did. I don't know. Never before in human history has there been a quicker way of passing information. In other words, if something happened in the other side of the planet right now from where you are, you would know about it within the next few minutes. By an alert, a news flash, whatever, breaking news. However you may run across it, Twitter, X, I'm sorry, which I understand why he calls it X now, Generation X. So I kind of am on board with it all of a sudden. I think that platform has improved greatly, actually. I've been on that one also 12 plus years. Facebook, on the other hand, has flipped backwards. And I was very fascinated by a complaint that I saw about Facebook, where their account was suspended. And they weren't really given a reason why, and they had to verify who they were to, open it back up. And they did, but they never got an explanation from Facebook. And Facebook is like that. They'll do something with my post, I'll appeal it, but I don't get to write anything. There's no exchange. You know what I'm saying? So it's very disconnected. And it made me realize, we don't pay for Facebook. It's free. They make their money from us being on it, period. And the ads you come across and all that neat stuff, whatever. But we don't own anything because we haven't paid. We may pay for services to boost our page. And I say our page because it's your and Facebook's page. And that's the brass knuckles of it, is when it comes down to it. None of that stuff on Facebook belongs to you anymore. It might be claimed to you because it's all about you, but it's even posted by you, but it's not yours. And it's information being lost willingly because we want to be on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever it is. Doesn't matter what format. TikTok. It's my favorite one. By the way, follow me on all social media platforms. SimplySuperDave. You should know the name by now. If you're on this episode, you should definitely fucking know the name by now. But yeah, never in a time in human history. You're living in a very historic time. You're living in a time where we're decades in to being used to being able to communicate with people within seconds, if not instantly, on the other side of the planet. Think about how that would have changed history throughout so many other different phases if they were able to communicate instantly with people on the other side of the planet and pass information, images, contents, books, albums, instantly, depending on your internet speed. Playing video games with other people in other countries at the same time. I mean, it is a vast different world than it will ever be because of that difference right there. Because people learn from one another. And if they don't learn in front of them in the real world, then they will learn it in the virtual. And that all goes back to some of my previous podcasts. You would have to go back and look at them in the early stages. And I've talked about this. I believe that is the mark of the beast, so to speak. It's something that, because I always believed that if there was a mark to be given, there would be something that a majority of people would do, and not out of just fear. Because, the devil doesn't work that way. The devil's smart. Come on. He's an angel, for God's sakes. Pun intended. He would offer something people would want. Just like us giving away our information willingly on Facebook, we would accept being on the internet, being virtually connected. Wearing rubber shoes to keep you disconnected from the Mother Earth which you came, your energy source within itself. A lot of people will tell you to take off your shoes and walk through the grass. Let your bare feet touch the ground, feel the dirt. Or whatever, sand. It just depends where you are. Snow would suck. I would find a warm spot, make an igloo or something, and get down to the grass. That would be... Can't do the snow. No frostbite for Dave. But you're living in a historic time. You're living in a time where human history was never foreseen to be. A lot of people have since the 60s and the 70s, computers and all that, they're basically prophets, like Stanley Kubrick, for example, the 2001 movie, for example. That's another, just so much so there's so much truth being revealed, and Stanley Kubrick was a big part of that. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, have fun with that. The Shining, the moon landing, just the movies. Eyes Wide Shut was his very last film, and he died right before it released. And that movie was about the sex rings that exist with the elite people in this country or other countries. And and it got cut to death, by the way, because his films could never be cut. But that film was submitted, and 9 days before his release, he was dead. And before that movie came out, in that 9 days, that movie got cut up. You can tell. When you watch the film, it lacks, like when the movie finished, you feel like you missed something. And it's because they took out, what the true message was, just made it into like a sex movie, which is what it's not about. But anyway, check it out. Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick, rabbit hole, have fun. I'm not going that way anymore. But he was one of the ones that could see into the future, so to speak, with technology and where it could go. And a lot of the things he put on film have pretty much played out a lot. His last movie would have been the movie AI with Haley Joel Osment, and Steven Spielberg ended up making that film because that would have been his next project, explaining how artificial intelligence takes over. So that's another very good Kubrick film. I think really he was trying to relay a lot of messages. Full Metal Jacket just told you how life in the military was, and it really inspired you to understand. And I think he does that with the technology in his films. And here we are now, living in it, where things are automated, and a lot of work is replaced by mechanical. We're way past the Industrial Revolution. We're in the digital age, the literal digital age. I would like to call this the information wars, to be honest with you, because that's what's going on. Think about in those other times where countries would have faced off with one another. Intel is always the first thing you need. And so back then, it would have been a lot of squibble-squabble between countries before action actually happened. And then based on the peer pressure, automatic peer pressure from the reactions of the rest of the world at what was happening, maybe that country doesn't go as far as it would have. Or maybe it's shut down quicker. Or maybe it doesn't happen at all. The transference of information at such a readily speed that it's at this point in time in our human history is amazing. It's historic, which is why I say you do live in historic times. And you're a contributing part of that early age of information being exchanged on the internet, which virtually is instantly connected all around the world, where a majority of people somehow are on it. I mean, even if you work at this point, you're going to be internet connected. If you work at just a retail store, you're going to be using an internet device of some sort. Cash register, everything. ATMs, doesn't matter. All of it. Information just blah, 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 blah. So if you're ever worried about protecting your information, I suggest you get that LifeLock stuff. But if you have money in the bank, if you don't bother. Maybe you'll get lucky like me and have someone use your identity to embezzle money, which that did happen to me. That'll be a different podcast. But take time to remember a lot of these pressures that you're feeling on an everyday basis, trying to be the best at this or make more money. Money has been a very primal. It used to be at some point people cared about what their job was because it would be a cool job to have. As long as you enjoyed and was happy doing it, as long as you made enough money to pay the bills and everything was good. Nowadays, jobs don't matter as much as the pay does. And that does matter because of the times we're living in. It makes you not even want to get a job you like, but a job you might hate because you need the money. That is not the American dream. That is not what that wasn't, other people say, well, I don't give a fuck how other countries work. We're different. We're people first, and we're running it country first, like government. I mean, country comes first when it's all of us together. But it doesn't come first when it's being run into our face by the government that controls us, which, by our Constitution, we control them. But somehow, everybody's gotten brainwashed on that. And that's where this control of information is so important. Because since the dawn of radio, television, on to where we are now with the internet and streaming and every fucking device you can imagine, propaganda has always been pushed. That's why the radio waves have always been owned. And all you need is to tune into a frequency. But if you do it illegally, they will find where you're tuning in from, and then they'll come get you. Why is that such a big fucking deal? Because then you could broadcast. See, the radio waves, or digital waves, are protected to a certain degree. Now there are rules and regulated community guidelines and so forth, all forms of censorship to protect Facebook or the company in which you post on, because again, it's free. So, what do you own? You didn't buy nothing. You're just help building and promoting a product. Every time you engage on these social media sites, you're basically working. No matter how much enjoyment. See, if you're enjoying it, you're a content creator, God bless you. You found your nick. You found something useful out of it. But if you're just constantly throwing yourself into it, and then you just got to wonder where that goes. What memories are you having? Are you going to remember that meme? I mean, granted, there are a lot of great memes out there. I do tend to remember. But that's what's great about them. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is a majority of the things really noteworthy to make a post about? Like dinner that night, how your day went. This is what I like over this. This sucks. Yeah, whatever. It's just amazing. But all those opinions are out there, and we all scroll through thousands of them every day. And whether you want to admit it or not, they do have some bearing on how you feel and think about yourself. Because you're using their judgments, their successes, their failures to make yourself either feel better or feel worse. Instead of accepting for what you are, you know, without so much input that you come up with a lot of this originally. And that is being lost. It's almost like it comes with a standard program in every person. Like, you must believe in this, so everything they say is true. Oh, they're this. That means they're telling the truth. If they're a politician and part of any kind of government-ran business, you know, they're going to be serious at a point, but they will lie. They will tell you whatever you need to hear, and then they'll be serious with you. And what I mean by that is, like, they'll say everything on the campaign trail, but when they get in there, they don't do it. But they're serious about that. They don't, and they're very serious about it. And it's almost accepted. Like, everybody just knew politicians were liars, so we just decided as a society to find the best corrupted liars and put them all together and elect them because they sound like they know what they're doing. And now, you know, decades later of this mass, you know, back and forth battle between two power-tripping fucking parties, we're paying the price because we won't change the way we vote. Oh, yeah. You know it's going to circle back to that somehow. Because in this time of information moving so quickly and everybody learning so fast, why isn't that just, I mean, it's really, why isn't that being talked about more? Or why isn't people catching on to the exciting idea that people come together and agree to vote for anything but Republican or Democrat in November? None of the above. None of the fucking the above. Just vote for some random person. third, fourth, or fifth on the list. Well, it's different people. I don't care. Just vote for them instead. Just give them no votes. And what's amazing to me is the benefit from that is the people completely benefit, because you flipped the power in Washington. You did it. You did something that no gun on the planet could possibly do. That's why the Constitution was written that way. But if you don't use that power in the booth, down the road, it's going to be guns. And that's not me threatening or saying, that's just how history works out. There will be a divide, a serious divide. And we should never get to that point. We've already had one of those. That's all we needed, you know? Killing each other makes no fucking sense. Never has. Even on an individual level, that should never be an action. But that's how life works, right? So why isn't it so hard for people to vote for themselves by not voting for either one of them? I don't know. They're scared. And that's the amazing. They're like, well, just don't want the other, don't want Biden, don't want Trump to win. That is the worst way to vote, is because you're scared of someone else winning. So you're going to vote for this person who you don't really support, but you're just not for the other one. Well, at least pick someone. I mean, come on. It blows my mind. Just blows my mind. Just wanted to circle back to that real quick and stop there, because I feel like I have these little fantasies, like you do when you win the lottery in your brain, like you buy a lottery ticket, like, what would I do with this lottery money or not? And so you decide that this is when you fantasize, right? Well, that's exactly what I just did there. Well, why not? Don't get too caught up, folks, in your virtual world. The real world is much better. It feels better. It's there. I don't know how to recommend to navigate yourselves, but your information is definitely already out there. If you've been alive more than 20 years, all your information's out there anyway. So just let that go. The moment that you get up to the moment you come home, unless you have cameras in your place, you're on camera somewhere. Everybody just has to accept that's society now. We're all watching each other and judging each other. That's the problem. And we got to let that go. And these are the little things we can learn as a society, like the repetition of history, of watching people push, okay, this is right, that's wrong. The difference in America and other countries, that in most other countries say this is right and that's wrong, they force you to do what's right. And that is not how America works. We appreciate and give freedom to opinions and thoughts and speech, and if you have a different, whatever. So when I see anything in America goes, well, this is the way it should be, so we're just going to make it that way. No. Even if I disagree with who you disagree with, I still think they should be able to speak. They should be able to put themselves out there. And they should deal with the consequences for whatever they fucking say. But to watch a country censor itself just baffles me. I don't know who... I keep saying I don't know who raised these kids to believe politicians, to put so much faith into it. I believe that you need to be heavily involved in politics. I do not believe you need to be so emotionally invested in politics. It's very easy to deal with when you deal with it cold-blooded and you deal with it emotionless, because you make better decisions. You make a decision that's based for everyone and not just one group of people. When you make special rules for one group of people, you're just setting up a problem. So just everybody should have all equal same rights, and I believe that's how the country was established. Martin Luther King Jr. saw it, and it just takes us as a society to do it, not politicians or our government. So wake up. I don't know who taught you. Maybe it was because you watched too much Nickelodeon growing up if you were really young. Or because Nickelodeon, I woke up the other day and had BET Awards. It has the Super Bowl on. I am against both of these. I don't think there should be any alternative programming put on Nickelodeon because it's a kid's channel. You're directly saying in front of my kid, we're going to douse him with some NFL football with SpongeBob just to make him like it. That's just not right. Let him be interested in football when he becomes interested in football, not because it comes on every day because he has to watch it. That's my job as a father. If I was going to do that to my kid, every Sunday you're watching the fucking game with me. That's a choice, as parenting. But when the TV says, hey, this kid's channel is going to show Nicki Minaj doing, a booty dance on Nickelodeon. But then again, the shows they play at night are some of my favorite shows, but definitely not kids programming. So I don't know. I've given up on all that because that's really, parenting is almost the hardest thing to do now. You literally have to not be so worried about the real world as much as the virtual one. It's a tool, and we've talked about this in several podcasts where you can use a tool to fix things and build, or you can stab somebody with it, become a weapon, or never pick it up. It's up to you. And that's how life is, even on this level. And if you ever disconnected, don't let everybody shame you. If this is the last podcast you listen to because you're like, Dave's right, I'm just going to disconnect. God bless you. Have fun with that. I still think that it's cool to be interacted and connected with society. I'm not demonizing anything. And yes, I may reference this the Mark of the Beast, but I'm using this very Mark of the Beast to make this podcast for you to listen to on your Mark of the Beast. So there you go. Look at it like that. And it starts to kind of trip you out a little bit because it kind of all makes sense how this time in history has never, ever happened before. Ever. Ever. You can't go back in history and go, this is what happened when they all were interconnected in 1620 or 5 BC. No, never, ever, ever happened. Ever happened. It's information and how fast it's passed. It's really a hard world to live in. It's very pressurized. Don't let the pressure get to you. Under pressure. It had to come. It had to come. I had to do it. Great song. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, Vanilla Ice. That sounds just like that song. Ice, Ice, Baby. And this, under pressure. That was a funny interview when he tries to explain himself. No, ours is dun, 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 dun. That's going to change it all there, huh, Vanilla? But anyway, love that guy. Pretty awesome dude. Great moment though. Enjoy life. That's what I do. I've always used it as like a TV. I also don't believe everything I see and watch either. I entertain everything because I'm an open-minded individual. Even the most fucked up shit I can't ever get out of my head that I might regret later, I'm still open up to always look at any and talk about anything. But don't let it get to you. Remember, everything is only what you make it. If you don't pick up the phone today and you don't know what happens in the world today, you will still do what you have to do today. You'll probably get it done a lot quicker. And you'll have a little bit more time for yourself. Don't forget that part, folks. Because without you, what is the point of all this? You are living in the greatest time of human history. A time where instead of people fighting in the streets, they fight on the internet. How fucking pacifist can you fucking get? This is a Buddhist dream. It's a compromise for having really bad people, but not ballsy people. But there are a lot of ballsy people out there. I'm not saying there isn't. But if you compared it to any other generation in human history, no, it's not. But it's still there. I still think it's pushing a good 60%. Once it gets on that 50% range, we're fucked. But it's gradually dropping. And maybe it's supposed to. Maybe it's supposed to be even for everybody. Maybe not. I don't know. I've always said one thing is true and very factual. And that's life is not fair. So don't go out there with unexpected expectations. Don't go out there believing in the lottery. Go out there believing in just yourself. And I guarantee you, you'll stay super every day. Everyone have a great, fantastic weekend. It is the month of July. So hope you had a happy 4th. And I hope summer isn't burning you up too much. And if any hurricane people are out there, God bless you. We got lucky this way. A lot of tornadoes here in Louisiana. I think we had like 67 or something. No, 12 or 19 on the ground. But out of 67 warnings, that's a good percentage. But anyway, as always, remember, the ultimate tool in life is your reaction to life. And the best way to react is with a lot of love and laughter, because it's the best way to conquer all of the hate and fear that's out there. Go be a conqueror. Don't be another victim. Much love. Peace. Dave out.